Ruined my perfect family when my husband caught me cheating with my boss, and then he went to prison for assaulting him. 7 years later, he's finally out, but I'm alone in this empty house, estranged from my kids who blame me for tearing their world apart, and now I'm left to face the consequences of my betrayal without anyone to turn to. I'm a selfish person, or at least, that's what I keep telling myself, night after night, sitting alone in the silence of my home. My kids aren't here. My ex-husband hates me, and honestly, he has every reason to. My family is divided, and I still can't forgive myself for what I did. My selfish act happened in 2015. I had just turned 39. Looking back, I know I took my ex-husband for granted. He always told me I was beautiful, made time for me, wanted me, treated me like an equal. He never put me on a pedestal like a princess, he treated me like his partner. We'd been married for 20 years by then, high school sweethearts, each other's first and only. It felt like we were right for each other. My family loved him. My brother looked up to him. My ex helped him through so many hard times. He was the kind of man people called when they were in trouble, and he always showed up. He was good, solid, kind. We had 4 kids, 2 strong-willed sons who were 18 and 16 at the time, and twin daughters, our little princesses, who were 13. I had gained weight and was feeling insecure, but he still told me I was beautiful. We rarely fought, and when we did, we worked through it. But when we argued, it was usually about sex, specifically the lack of it. He wanted more, wanted to try new things, and I just wasn't into it. Not because I didn't love him, I just wasn't in the mood. And he understood that. Turning 39 changed something in me. I spent the whole year working on myself, yoga, Pilates, gym sessions, and the results were incredible. I went from 180 pounds to 135. For someone who had always been on the chubbier side, having a toned body was new. My ex worked out too, though not as much. He trimmed down from 260 to 225 and was getting fit. After that, he couldn't keep his hands off me. But still, I wasn't in the mood. It wasn't like he didn't try. We went out, we danced, we walked together. He helped around the house, he looked at me with so much love and desire. 20 years in, and he still wanted me. Most women would dream of that. But mentally, I just wasn't there. I thought I was going through early menopause, we were only having sex maybe twice a month, and I was a one and done, while he wanted more. He even suggested couples therapy, but I refused. And this is where my selfishness began. Just a few days after my birthday, a new manager started at my job. He was a little younger, attractive, and for whatever reason, he seemed into me. I ignored it at first. Then it turned into friendly conversations. Then flirting. I showed him my wedding ring, tried to shut it down. But after 2 months, I started flirting back. Eventually, I started telling him about my life. I thought about him constantly. It was an emotional affair, I can admit that now. But back then, it felt like a high. My ex noticed something was off. We had a big argument after he kissed me and I instinctively made a face. Not because of him, I had been thinking about the other man. And the kiss just felt wrong. Disgusting, even. A week later, I asked the new manager to meet me at a cafe. My intention was to cut it off, to be honest. I wanted to tell him to leave me alone so I could fix my marriage. But before I could speak, he kissed me. And my mind went completely blank. That was the beginning of a 6-month affair. During that time, I did things with him that my husband had always wanted. I was more adventurous, more willing, always in the mood. I think it was the novelty. The affair didn't stop me from sleeping with my husband entirely, but it wasn't the same. I began pushing him away, picking fights over nothing, even belittling him. I only realized how much I was hurting him when my brother visited and told me my ex had opened up to him. He was depressed. He was thinking about filing for separation. He said he didn't think I loved him anymore, and worse, he was starting to fall out of love with me. That broke me. I called off the affair immediately, quit my job, promised myself I'd fight for my marriage, be a better wife, love him like he deserved. But then, the affair partner showed up at my house, with a box of stuff I'd asked to be shipped from my old desk. We talked. He asked what went wrong. I told him I needed to fix things with my husband. I asked him to leave. He begged for one last time. I should have said no, but I didn't. I gave in. We went to the guest room. I don't know how long we were at it, but suddenly, he jerked back violently, and there was a loud crash. I sat up. My ex-husband was standing there. My affair partner was on the floor, and there was a hole in the wall. I tried to speak, but my ex's face, his eyes were red, tears running down, his lips shaking. He looked broken. I felt disgusting. My AP tried to get up and leave. My ex looked at him, and my AP warned him not to get in his way. That was it. My ex snapped. He attacked him. I screamed, begged him to stop, jumped on his back to pull him off, but he threw me off like I weighed nothing. Everything went blurry. The sounds were muffled. When things came back into focus, my AP was on his side. My ex was on the phone. I looked down and saw blood and teeth on the floor. Then came the loud bang on the door. My ex put the phone on speaker, gently set it on the floor, got on his knees, and put his hands behind his head. The police came in, handcuffed him. Paramedics rushed in moments later. He had called 911 on himself. It all went to hell from there. At the hospital, my father didn't say a word. Just stared at me like I was a disgrace. My brother? He yelled. Said I broke the one good man we had in our lives. My mom tried to console me, but that only made my dad yell at her. My ex's family? His sisters threatened me. His parents looked like they wanted to bury me 6 feet under. I tried to approach my children, but they refused to speak to me. My sons couldn't even look at me. My affair partner was seriously injured and needed facial reconstructive surgery. My ex had practically shattered his face. While I was in the hospital, a woman stormed into my room and attacked me. My brother had to pull her off me. That's when I found out she was my affair partner's wife. I had no idea he was married. He never wore a ring, never said a word. That realization made everything feel so much worse. As the trial approached, my sons stayed with their grandparents on my ex's side, and my daughters refused to talk to me at all. My ex didn't want to see me either. I tried visiting him in county, but I was turned away. My brother pulled strings to get him transferred to the correctional facility where he worked, just so he could keep an eye on him. When I asked my brother to pass on a message for me, he told me to go to hell. The first time I saw my ex again was in court. It had been months. He looked at me with so much anger, it crushed me. He had only ever looked at me with love, even when we fought. But that day, all I saw was hatred. I had to excuse myself to cry in the restroom. Each day of the trial was torture. I had to recount every detail of my affair in front of everyone. When I admitted how long it had gone on, my ex looked devastated. My father stood up and walked out of the courtroom. During my ex's testimony, I learned that he had come home early to surprise me with lunch and a romantic weekend trip to the Catskills. He had it all planned out. But instead, he walked in on me and my affair partner. He said when the AP told him to back off, something in him snapped. He beat him, only stopping when he accidentally threw me off of him. He immediately called 911. We listened to that call in court. Hearing his pain, the panic in his voice, his sobs, it shattered me. The AP was too injured to testify and heavily medicated. Instead, they showed photos of his face. I felt sick, knowing I was the reason for all of it. My ex had broken his eye socket, crushed his cheekbones, and destroyed his jaw. There were bone fragments too small to repair. My ex was charged with third-degree felony assault and sentenced to 7 years. My sons yelled in protest, my daughters sobbed, and his family wailed in the courtroom. It still haunts me. Those first 3 months after the trial were unbearable. The AP's soon-to-be ex-wife sued me for alienation of affection. My ex filed for divorce. My oldest son moved out. The other stayed in his room all day. My twin daughters started rebelling hard. My former sisters-in-law attacked me in the middle of Price Chopper. His mother spat in my face when I tried to apologize. My father and brother completely cut me off. Eventually, I had to find a new job. We were running out of money and savings were almost gone. But I was blacklisted in my field. My affair had brought bad publicity to the accounting firm I worked at. I ended up in retail and did seasonal work at H&R Block during tax season. I nearly lost the house. My ex refused to let me visit him. Every letter I sent was returned unopened. Crying in the shower became part of my daily routine. My parents almost separated because my mom defended me constantly. My brother still wouldn't speak to me. Even my childhood friends were divided. I started thinking about leaving everything behind or even ending my life. The guilt was suffocating. Eventually, I started seeing a therapist. She told me I had gotten too comfortable with my ex, that I didn't see him as a husband, just a convenient friend. And she was right. I'd taken him for granted. He saw me as his wife, the mother of his kids, the woman he loved. I treated him like an afterthought. Almost a year passed with complete silence from my children. When I made dinner, they'd grab their plates and head to their rooms. They wouldn't even look at me. I had breakdowns, begging them to say something, but they never did. My brother got married. I wasn't invited. My kids were. I kept trying to visit my ex, hoping he might finally put me on his visitor list. He never did. The letters still came back unopened. I fell into depression, and I didn't blame anyone but myself. Then one day, completely out of the blue, my brother showed up. It was the first time I'd seen him since the trial. I was shocked and briefly happy, but he just came to scold me. He told me my ex had been stabbed in prison. Another inmate tried to assault him, and in the struggle, my ex got stabbed in the stomach. The attacker ended up with a broken spine. My brother screamed, "You did this," and stormed back to his truck. He was right. I cried for days. I tried visiting my ex in the infirmary. Still denied. For 4 more years, I kept writing letters. Still returned. Thankfully, our kids visited him often. That's how I found out he had been placed in protective custody. My brother made sure of it. Over time, my oldest enrolled at the same college his father had attended, even chose the same major. He only called his siblings, never me. He didn't come home for holidays, only to see his grandparents. My second son did the same. My daughters were hard on me too, but visiting their dad every week improved their moods. When they got out of line, my brother would step in. But he and I still barely spoke. When my brother and his wife had their first child, I tried to visit. I was asked to leave. My mother kept me updated, but my dad still refused to acknowledge me. Then, at the start of May this year, my kids came home. I didn't know why and didn't care. They were home. For 4 months, they were around, and I did everything I could to show how sorry I was. They mostly ignored me, but they were talking, and that meant everything. My oldest had a girlfriend he'd been seeing for over a year. My second son joined the college track team. Even my daughters started chatting with me again. Seeing them laugh at dinner, seeing us eat together, it broke me. I had missed it so much. By the end of August, I was preparing for the twins' first day of senior year, which was also their 18th birthday. I told them about the party I wanted to throw. They asked if we could celebrate on another day. I was confused. One of them finally said, "Because Dad's throwing us a party, and I don't want you near him." That floored me. I asked when their father had gotten out. They said he was released at the end of April for good behavior. I cried. Not because he was out, but because that was why the kids had been around more. They weren't reconnecting with me. They were just happy to have their father back. I asked where he was staying. They told me he was living with my brother. I called, needing to speak with him. He refused. I drove over there, holding all the letters that had been returned over the years. I saw him briefly through the door. I called his name. My brother asked me to leave. I handed him the letters and walked to the driveway. Then I heard his voice. I turned, and he was walking toward me. I burst into tears, went to hug him. He handed the letters back. "You forgot this," he said coldly. I broke down, begging him to talk to me. He turned and walked away. My children stood in the doorway, watching. There was no love in their eyes. That moment, I realized they were only tolerating me. Still, I want to fix this. I want to tell them how selfish. I wanted to tell him how much I missed him. Tell him that I'm so sorry for ruining what we had. Every day, I'm still trying to push forward. A couple of years ago, my mom told me that my AP's ex-wife had been visiting my ex. She's apparently been around a few times. Honestly, I don't even care about that. I just want him to forgive me somehow. I want him to talk to me, to be near me again, to look at me the way he used to. I want our kids with us. I just want my family back. But deep down, I know I don't deserve it. And even if, by some miracle, we got back together, it wouldn't be the same. I was selfish. I wish I could take everything back. This is my response to the My Mother's Son's Response post. My selfishness destroyed my family. I read and comment often on r/support for Wayward, but I'm using a throwaway account this time because I really don't want anyone from my social life recognizing me. I go out of my way to hide my past. My college friends don't know my dad was in prison, and I don't plan on telling them. So when I heard people on campus talking about that post, sharing it, it triggered a flood of emotions I've been trying to bury. I looked it up. There was just enough info to know it was about my family, and it made me furious. I reached out to my mom, and she immediately started crying. I yelled at her. Then I went to see my dad and told him what I did. He yelled at me too, but only because I cursed. My dad is a good man. He told me I might not love my mom right now, but I still have to respect her. That's hard to do. My dad always struggled, but he drilled it into our heads that we should be thankful we grew up somewhere safe, where we wouldn't be attacked just for doing well in school or wanting to go to college. He grew up in the South Bronx. My aunt said he joined a gang at 13 just to be left alone while going to school. When he was 15, his father died of cancer. With no life insurance, my dad had to help raise his 2 sisters, working jobs to cover rent and food, while still going to school. He said they were lucky when his mom remarried a good man and they all moved to upstate New York for a better life. My uncle told me that when they first met my dad, it was the 90s, he wore baggy clothes and a Puerto Rican flag shirt. The other kids thought he was weird and tried to mess with him, but he fought back, won, and then helped them up. He asked if they wanted to skip school, split a 40, and talk. My uncle said that moment made him realize they'd be friends. Later, he introduced my dad to my mom. They clicked, went to the same college, and got married after freshman year. Growing up, my parents were the affectionate, lovey-dovey couple. Always holding hands, kissing, embarrassing us. Even in my senior year, when things were falling apart, my dad still acted like a teenager in love. He never put her on a pedestal, though. He used to say that if you put a woman on a pedestal, she'll always be looking down on you. His father and stepfather taught him, treat your wife as your equal, your best friend, your confidant. My dad had his quirks. He was a big guy, about 5 feet 11 inches, 260 pounds, but always active and full of life. I loved it when he sang to my mom. We all did. He'd serenade her, bring her flowers just because it's Thursday, write her love notes, defend her when people were rude. He always reminded her how beautiful she was. He showed my sisters the kind of man they should look for. When it came to my uncle, my dad was always there even when everyone else gave up on him. My grandfather used to say he knocked the stupid out of him and left behind the man he was meant to be. That line always made me laugh. My dad showed me how a man, a friend, and a husband should act. And before her affair, my mom loved him. He supported her through everything, encouraged her, lifted her up when she was down. He was her biggest cheerleader, and she was his. They had the kind of marriage everyone wanted. Then my mom threw it all away. I remember those months. She started talking down to him like he wasn't good enough. He pushed back, but stayed calm. My dad might be educated and a successful financial advisor, but he can go from polished to street in 5 seconds. Grandma says he's like his dad, kind and helpful, but won't hesitate to tear someone apart if they cross the line. He tried everything, flowers, dinners, dancing, but she was in her own world. It hurt us all. My brother, my twin sisters, we could all see the change. But my dad would smile and tell us things would be okay, that mom was just stressed. When she quit her job, I believed that was the root of the problem. Then my dad got arrested. Mom, do you even know how humiliating that was? The whole school was talking about it. My dad arrested because you couldn't stay faithful. I couldn't even look at you. That's why I stayed at Grandma's place, because just seeing you made me sick. When I visited Dad, he couldn't even look at me. He said he was ashamed that he failed as a husband and as a man. I told him he hadn't, but he insisted he had. He said a real man would have thought about the consequences before doing something so reckless. He said he failed as a husband because his wife slept with another man. I begged him to look at me, and he wouldn't. Then you had the nerve to ask us for forgiveness, and for the first time in my life, I genuinely wanted to hurt you. We were all in pain, and all you could think about was forgiveness. Sitting in that courtroom, listening to that 911 call was the longest, most painful 25 minutes of my life. Just hearing Dad, who would have killed or died for you, crying, begging for help, telling the dispatcher he thought he just killed someone. Hearing him say over and over that the love of my life cheated on me broke me. I know you tried to testify as a character witness for Dad, even though we all begged you not to. You did it anyway. What were you trying to prove? That you still loved him? That he was a good man? Because honestly, that cross-examination, where you told the court how long you were with that other man, that's what I believe ruined our case. That's why he was sent to prison. If we'd had a real lawyer instead of a public defender, he might have walked. I had anger issues because of what happened. My brother became a closet alcoholic. One of the twins was suicidal, and you didn't even notice. You were so focused on patching things up with Dad, you left me to hold the rest of us together. I hated you. A part of me still does. When I went to college, I wanted nothing to do with you. Like Dad, I had to be a parent to my siblings. I worked full-time, went to school, and even sent you money to help cover bills. I don't understand why you acted like you were doing it all alone. I know things were hard. I know you were struggling with depression. And yeah, Grandma defended you, but only because everyone else had turned their backs on you. That's what the twins think anyway. When Dad got stabbed, I nearly had a breakdown. I had just seen him that day. We joked about how ripped he'd gotten, and he made a joke about his prison body plan, like it was some fitness ad. I was halfway back to school when I got the call. I nearly crashed the car. My brain just stopped working. It was hard on all of us. I never told anyone this, but I parked outside that guy Saab's apartment. I wanted to beat him senseless. But when I saw him walking with a cane, I remembered what Dad said, and I drove away. Time passed. Grandma died, then Grandpa a few days later. Broken heart syndrome. Dad wasn't even allowed to go to the funeral. Did you know both his sisters got married in the waiting area just so he could walk them down the aisle? You caused so much damage. And it didn't help that you kept begging us for forgiveness, over and over, never letting us process or heal. It felt like you just wanted to feel better about yourself. You didn't try, not when it really mattered. You gave us space, but expected us to bounce back and act like everything was fine. Yes, you did try later, but not when it counted. When Dad got out, he told us we should try to have a relationship with you again. He said you were a good mom and deserved some respect. So we tried for a while. And yeah, that made you happy. I remembered what it felt like to not hate you. Dad struggled to find work at first, but one of his old clients gave him a job. I didn't expect the twins to drop that bomb on you. Dad didn't want you to know he was out. So when you showed up, it rattled him. He threw up after talking to you. He said just seeing you made him sick. And about your recent post, where you talked about that ex-wife showing up to see Dad. She's been visiting him weekly for over 3 years. They've been spending time together since he got out. So stop dreaming up some fantasy about getting back together with him. If you want to talk about this, call me. If you really want to fix things with your kids, call me. But what you did last week, sharing what was probably the worst moment of our lives online, that was selfish. Like your title said, I did tell Dad. And you know what? He doesn't care. He said you're just the mother of his kids, nothing more. I'm done pretending that things are okay. For years, I've lived in this quiet rage, this feeling of betrayal, of being let down by the people who were supposed to protect me. We all were. But you didn't protect us. You kept asking for forgiveness, like it was just a simple fix, a sorry would make it all go away. But it wasn't that easy. It never was. When I think about all the times I tried to get you to see how much pain you caused, I remember the look on your face when you didn't listen. You were always so focused on yourself, on your own guilt, on trying to fix your life, that you didn't care about the wreckage we were living in. You weren't there when I needed you. You weren't there when Dad left, when he broke us apart, when I had to step up and hold the family together, even when I didn't know how to hold myself together. You weren't there when I was losing my mind in school, when I was running myself ragged to make sure the twins didn't drown in their pain, when I was pulling my hair out just trying to keep everything from falling apart. You always told me you loved me, but I don't remember feeling it. Not when it mattered. When Grandma died, I couldn't even grieve. There was no room for that. I had to be strong. I had to be the one who kept everything going. And then Grandpa passed just days later. And that felt like a punishment. Like the universe had decided that if we'd survived you, we could survive anything. But we didn't know how to survive without them. You didn't know how to help us through that. You were still too focused on trying to fix things with Dad. You didn't even notice we were falling apart. And then when Dad got stabbed, I thought I couldn't take it anymore. He was all I had left. It felt like the universe had been playing this sick joke on us, testing how much we could take. But I couldn't break down, not in front of anyone. I had to keep it together for the others. I remember that phone call, hearing the panic in his voice, the fear. It was like everything stopped. Like time just stood still and said, this is it. But when I saw him, battered and broken, with that cane, a part of me just wanted to scream. But I couldn't. I had to hold it all in. It was a strange thing, seeing him struggle. But I kept telling myself that we had to move forward. We had to keep going. We couldn't just sit in the past forever. That's what you wanted from us, this perfect reconciliation where everything would magically get fixed with time. But nothing was ever fixed. Nothing was ever truly repaired. We all had to rebuild ourselves from the ground up. And that's what hurt the most, that you didn't even notice. You didn't see how much pain we were still in. You thought that by asking for forgiveness, you could make it all better. But that was just selfish. You didn't give us the space to heal. You just wanted everything to go back to how it was. You wanted the easy way out. But there's no easy way when it comes to betrayal like this. You never saw what it did to us. You never saw how much we had to carry. How much I had to carry. And now, after all this time, you still don't get it. You still think it's about you and your guilt. But it's not. It's about us. About how we lost ourselves in all of this. How we were forced to grow up too fast. How we were forced to survive. When Dad got out, I thought maybe, just maybe, things would be different. Maybe we could start fresh. But I knew deep down we'd never get back to where we were. Not really. You can't fix something that's been broken for so long. I tried. We all did. We tried to be respectful, to be open. But it was just too much. When you showed up at Dad's, I saw the same old thing. The same thing that always haunted me, your selfishness. You acted like everything could just be patched up. Like we were all supposed to forget the years of hurt, of silence, of emotional wreckage. But we couldn't forget. And I couldn't pretend. I remember what Dad said after that meeting. He said he'd never truly trust you again. That you were the mother of his children, but nothing more. And hearing that broke something in me. I didn't even know how to respond to it. Because he was right. You're the mother of our children. But that's all you'll ever be to him. And deep down, I knew that was the truth. I've tried to move on. I've tried to forgive. But forgiveness isn't something you can just demand from people. It's something you have to earn, and you never did that. You never took responsibility for what you did. You just kept asking over and over for us to give you another chance. But it was never about us, was it? It was always about you. I don't know what you think this is. You've posted everything online, shared our pain for the world to see, like it's some kind of cry for attention. But that's not what this is. This is our lives. This is the damage you've done. This is the wreckage we've been left with. And now you want to twist it, make yourself the victim? You don't get to do that. Not anymore. If you really want to fix things with your kids, you need to stop with the posts, stop with the pleading. You need to call me. You need to face the truth. You need to stop pretending like you're the one who's been wronged. Because you haven't. We have. You've done enough damage. You've done enough to us. I don't want to see you anymore. I don't want to hear your apologies or your excuses. I've had enough. You had your chance. And you blew it. Now, it's time for us to move on. To find peace. Without you.